I'm trying to relate and link your thinking process with how the examiner is looking to this information, what can be the possible questions that we can face out of it, and what should be our thinking style when we look into the case. Obviously, this is the first formal class, so we have a lot to study. Like, this is the case study, then we have some study notes which will give you the framework, theoretical information, and then of course the real exam-based mock exams will start. So, but the base will be today, tomorrow, and tomorrow means the next working class, and you will be having a lot of knowledge, hopefully. So let's start with a case called Hottayr. This is a company, and this is, we discussed the last day, the content. So we'll have some introduction of the industry, then the company, and then the company annual report, and we'll see the board of directors, how they look, what are their qualifications. We will see the principal risk that they are suffering or facing. Extract from the competitor financial statement, very important, because we need to compare ourselves with the best in class, and that's called benchmarking. And we'll see what is the impact on share prices. All CIMA cases are listed companies, so always they have a share price, and share price is a signal of so many things that we need to express in our answers. And there are some new things happening which will impact the working future of Hottayr as a company. So that will be our around 26 pages. Now let me start. The good thing is that this information is standard for all the case studies coming from last couple of years. So Hottayr is a quoted company. When we say quoted, means you are listed in a stock exchange, and they manufacture domestic heating products, mainly gas boilers and air source heat pumps. Now, so for example, in UAE, for example, in Dubai, I didn't use, we use central heatings, but we don't use it in a way as we use it in UK or US or the cold countries, which are cold countries. So you will see some differences of regional temperature-based differences, but we'll go through. I'm sure half of this you already know. We know that we can produce electricity or energy from water, from coal, from gas, from LNG and solar. These are some ways. So AS is directed towards the energy, and this information will be useful. So this company is a gas boiler and heat pump company, and obviously we need to know that how big they are, what are their turnovers, how many employees they have, how many locations they have, do they import, do they export. This is a basic information for understanding a company and start thinking about their efficiency, effectiveness, and their strategy. So you are a senior manager, you're not a CFO, so you need to downgrade yourself a bit off. You have to think like a senior manager who's working in a finance function. You report directly to board and advise on special projects and strategic matters. Now, when we say board, in corporate governance, we learn that we make different kind of committees. So it will be a committee, it will be a composition of board members, some executive directors, some non-executive directors. Hottayr is based in Norland. Norland is nowhere in the world. Just you don't want to say UK, USA. You just always take a hypothetical name called Norman, Foreland, Eastland, Midlands, these kind of abbreviations. In developed countries, this is very important to understand, because if it is a developed country, so the stock market will be highly efficient. In somewhere in basic financial management, you might remember you studied that there are 3 types of stock exchange. One is efficient, one is semi-efficient, and one is weak. What's the difference if, like, for example, NASDAQ or London Stock Exchange, anything happen in the outer market, stock market immediately impact. If something good comes, market goes up, something bad comes, stock market crash. So it really matters that the same scenario in a developed country will be a different perspective, different strategy, or in a developing country or underdeveloped country is totally different. So these things really matter, small words. An active, well-regulated stock exchange. So as he said, develop, I understood that this will be a better stock exchange. Norland's currency is it's a dollar sign, but let's call it as N dollar. It's just like a hypothetical currency. Norland require companies to prepare their financial statements in accordance with international financial reporting standards. Because CIMA is a British qualification, so they always follow IFRS. If you are doing CPA USA, they follow US GAAP. A very interesting thing I would like to share that since 2017, all American companies who are listed, they are following IFRS. They are not following any more US GAAP. And actually US GAAP and IFRS nowadays, there's no difference left. So in any case, they are the same ones. So in this way, we are following IFRS. Now, the way we amortize, the way we impair, the way we develop, capitalize an asset in IFRS is different. So whenever it comes, we'll see like these things are relevant to our discussions or not. Domestic central heating systems. Now he is going to explain us like an engineer. So the good news is that, you know, you're not an engineer, I'm not an engineer, so we don't need to be an engineer. What thing after reading maybe 5 to 10% we will reproduce this, at how a pump works or how a central heating works. So this is purely for your understanding. In any case, if you don't understand the condenser, the thermometer, the temperature controller, thermostat, or boiler, or pipes, or valves, that's the matter for our exam at all. So no worries. I've been teaching this long. Every time we have a new industry. So, for example, we have lastly airport industry, then there was food industry, then there was a smart city industry. So industry can change anytime. We need to learn the core things related to a strategy. That's why it's not mandatory that a Pfizer or AstraZeneca CEO must be a doctor or an engineer, or no. Anyone can who have a better understanding to the process. Heating systems are necessary to keep rooms at comfortable temperature and to prevent dampness caused by condensation. Now, what is dampness? It's like if you see the water comes on ACs sometimes, you know, in UAE, for example, so it's dipping the water. So heating systems are really important, and they save you from different things. Now, most dwellings in countries, like most homes and apartments that has cold weather for a significant part of the year, have central heating system. This is how it works. All Britain work, all Europe work in this, maybe Jordan work this way, Lebanon work this way. Any cold country, Russian countries, even the cold side of United States, they all have the central heating system. Even a home is small or a big, it's give you the same system. Then use a central heating source such as boiler or a heat pump. So we can I ask before I explain, maybe I will over explain, that all of you are familiar with, have you seen in your life a boiler yourself?
Oh, for sure. Yes, I mean, I come from Europe, but definitely I've seen it.
Perfectly. How about others?
Yeah, we've seen it. We have it back home.
Oh, that's great. That's great. So it means that you are already familiar, because I will not too much emphasize on scientific functioning of the boilers and heat pumps, because it is not even important for our examination as well, but because it's written, so it's very important to go through at least once. So because we all have seen a boiler or a heat pump, a pump is always, the function of a pump is to push. So it's an air pump is pushing air, heat pump is pushing heat. That's very simple. So heat water, then it is pumped around the dwellings in order to heat each room. Now this is all the background. He want to tell us the traditional, then what is modern. Obviously, we will add the strategic managers for exam purposes. I am more looking not the traditional ones. I have robotic boilers. I have auto sensors now. We have mobile app controls. So far, but he's going through the last 30 years because company was formed quite a long time. So he's telling about the traditional composition-based boilers. Gas boilers are popular in countries that have main gas, usually natural gas. Gas is always cheaper than the electricity, so people prefer to use gas for heating and for stove as well. Gas is an efficient fuel that is used to power central heating boilers for cooking and to heat water for bathing and cleaning. A gas-powered boiler is connected to the gas cold water supplies. The boiler heats water by burning gas. So we burn the gas, boiler start getting hot and it boils the water. The hot water is then either pumped around the dwelling to heat radiators, or it can be used as a hot water for bath, showers, and washings. Okay, it can be hot water can go anywhere, like it can go in the washroom, it can go in the kitchen, that's fine. Most countries impose strict regulations to ensure the safety of the gas boiler because boiler can blast. And if it is blast, there can be a physical life loss as well if there is a human around. So most of the boiler in extreme cold countries, they become freeze, and when the heat and cold combination make it like a bomb, they blast it. That's why in UK, you should be having a certified technician called gas plumber who will touch your boiler and will have every year there will be an assurance certificate that will make sure that the boiler is fit and fit to use. The boiler themselves must meet safety standards. They must be installed and maintained by qualified plumbers to ensure that there can be no gas leaks. Very important. So here the information is related to health, safety, and environment, HSE, that we shortly call. So this is a point somewhere will be discussed in our suggestions when we are thinking about a strategy. So we have to take about healthcare and environment strategies, because we cannot only the money people, we cannot say only that we need a return on investment without protecting the environment, health, and safety. These are more important than money nowadays, at least the bookish term. Maybe in practice you see other way around, but in theory, in practice, in high level of ethics, you should be a company who is good in understanding, following, saving environment, eco-friendly, carbon-free. Okay, so he's explaining domestic gas boilers are generally designed to have relatively little need for controls that require user to make any adjustments once they have been installed and switched on. Consumer must buy separate controllers that combines thermostat. Thermostat is a device who controls the temperature, and clocks to manage heat output and the availability of the hot water. This is traditional. Now you will all get built-in remote control, auto sensor, auto off, auto on, timers option. These are all available in the latest boilers. Thermostats can vary in sophistication from basic mechanical devices to electrical devices that can be operated by the smartphones. Now, when it comes to smartphones, now the cyber risk has arisen because a couple of years now, last 5 years, we saw a lot of e-commerce companies who were dealing with consumers, their accounts hacked. So when a hacker successful to hack, say, Sony or even American consulate in Washington, it was also attacked. So there are a couple of attacks on Amazon, Facebook, and other companies. So when we make an Amazon account, we put our credit card details. And if a hacker takes that, it will be merely impossible for all of us to control. And for Amazon, for example, will be a bad reputation. People will remove their sensitive information from there, and it will create a business loss. So business loss in all the ways, all the risk that we have to understand. So this information is particularly important. Smartphone devices will certainly links with the cyber security or server security, or how much our app is secured, and these kind of points that we will discuss in detail when the relevant portion is coming. Gas boilers can be powered using liquid petroleum gas, LPG. Like Qatar has LPG a lot. In UAE, we have Dolphin Energy. They have this LPG where there is no gas pipelines. People fill it in the cylinders and use. So LPG is also a source that is stored outdoors in a tank. So we have a tank, we can refill it, and piped. So link the pipe. If you see this diagram, this is the drum, and there are pipes who are linked who can take it towards the home. And the tank is replenished by a tanker refill, like, refilled by a tanker whenever it's going to empty. Some dwellings use oil-fired boilers. Those require similar arrangement to LPG system, with a tank containing heating oil located in the garden and an oil burning boiler used to heat water in the home. So this is also a traditional system that is being explained. Wood burning stoves can be used as a heat. It used to be, some people still use, I don't use it, but it's hard to arrange wood. Maybe if I live in our mountains, it's free, I can cut and bring, but can't get it from the grocery store. Tesco, Sainsbury will not deliver me. So wood burning stoves can be used as a heat source for central heating systems. Householder burn logs that provide radiant heat within the room. Obviously, ultimate purpose is to warm the home, and so it's through hot water, through a gas, or through solar, or through energy, electricity, or from a wood. Traditionally, all options are open. It depends what we want. Pipes at the back of the stove heat water that is then used to heat other rooms in the same manner as for the gas and oil burning boilers. So wood then is burned into wood burning stove is a renewable energy. We say that making them more environment friendly than power and gas or oil. Still, it has some carbon, it's not that it's a carbon free. Any fire goes in air has some kind of carbon. Distributing heat around the home. So this is a system, whatever type of energy is bringing heat, there will be an internal piping in the home that will take it. So it's logical. A network of pipes made from either copper or plastic carries hot water from the boiler to each room in dwelling that is to be heated. Now it depends. Like in this case study we are studying, the other day I visited a home. So there was an inspection. They were doing some repair. It was from central London. So the inspector came, he said, look, I want to see the external pipe who is going down the home. So he want to dig everything and see that pipe. So when I reached myself, I saw a pipe. It was a very small pipe, maybe put in 1932. So obviously it was not a high pipe. So it was an old steel-based one, but maybe in modern times we have different type of pipes made out of carbon-free or aluminium or silver, copper. Carries hot water from the boiler to each room is dwelling that is to be heated. The most popular method of heating is to install one or more radiators. So, yeah, radiators are the one that you have seen in your home or in the Hollywood movies. You saw that there is a white color radiator, squarish shape. Radiators are metal pipes that are designed to transfer heat from the hot water that flow through them into the surrounding air. That release of heating energy warm the room. So they are fetching the heat and splitting in the room, making it warm. And obviously there is a hot air, there's a cold air, so that also need to be ejaculated or exhausted. So cooling the hot water in the process, the water carries on through the pipe to the next radiator where further heat is released. So now we have a controller also, which is you can make it faster or lower. That is, this is the diagram. Central heating systems are designed to ensure that every room is heated to a satisfactory extent. Even we have a central controller now. If you want to set a room, like a temperature of the whole home, so they are well connected, and from one single monitor you can do it. So boiler came in different capacities. More powerful boilers produce more hot water. So it depends. If your room is small, you need 1, you need 2, you need 3, depending on your size of your home. The larger home needs larger energies. Larger radiators release more heat energy and so can heat a large volume of air. Larger room required larger radiators or perhaps multiple radiators depending on the size of the room itself. Radiators are usually fitted with thermostats. Thermostats are the one whose controllers. Those can be used to regulate the amount of heat you need, more or less. Sometimes your blood pressure is high, so you are feeling cold. Sometimes your blood pressure is low, you are feeling, so you want to play around with the temperature. That is very important. If you are married, your wife's temperature is different, your temperature is different. So how to handle, who will survive? This is all new options are available. Radiators are usually fitted with thermostats. Those can be used to regulate the amount of heat that is released into any given room. So prevent uncomfortably high temperatures. So it's a good device to control the temperatures. Recently we saw some underfloor heatings were getting very popular because when you put your feet on a floor feels cold in cold countries. So there is an option that you can put an underground trunking, put the pipes, and underfloor heating is an alternative to the radiators. Hot water from the boiler is piped from room to room. Plastic pipes are set in the concrete floor, so it should not break when you put a feet on it. In a zigzag design means like this way. In the diagram you can see this is a zigzag, and creating an even heat across the whole room and avoiding the need to install radiator on the wall of the room. The pipes are embedded in the floor so they can't be seen and they can be walked on the same time without causing any damage. So a little bit of architect by a nice construction engineer. The floor can be covered with any conventional flooring coverings. There are special tiles available to put on, although carpets tends to act as an insulator and so reduce the effect of the heat flow. Now these are few informations heading towards heat pumps. Heat pump. The pump function is to pump, push up or down, right or left. So it's a pump for pumping the heat. Capture heat energy from a source and release it elsewhere. The source may be cooler than the destination. There are several different applications for this technology, means how to heat it. Previously, pumps 100 years were very weird, very slow, very limited. Now the pumps has high power, so scenario is different. Refrigerators and freezers use heat pumps to capture heat energy from the interior of the appliance and move it to the exterior. Doing so reduces the temperature inside the appliance and so helps to keep food fresh and chill drinks. If the heat pump was switched off, the higher temperature in the room would lead to the heat energy flowing back into the cooler interior of the refrigerator or freezer until it reached room temperature. So that's a normal mechanism. If you own it, it will start cooling again, so energy will exhaust to the other side. Air conditioners use the same principles to take heat energy from the room that is uncomfortably warm and then release that energy outside. So the room becomes cooler and more comfortable while the device is in operation. So you need, generally we saw that we have inverters in our home, say in UAE, we have internal unit and there is an external unit outside the building. So they both are linking, taking the heat air, like hot air, converting into a cool air. So heat pumps can be used to capture heat energy that can be used in central heating systems. Heat energy is captured from outside a building that is released inside to make the interior warmer. Heat pump do not create itself anything, it's a pump. So there are different components who is doing different things. And this is a diagram we want to explain you. There are compressors. This is evaporator. This is compressor, and this is condenser, and this is the expansion valve. That mechanism, scientific mechanism to work on. Heat pumps rely on volatile liquid called a refrigerant, which is trapped inside a pipe. The refrigerant is pumped around the pipe in a continuous cycle. Evaporator, as the name shows, is evaporating the water. A section of the pipe twisted into a cone or zigzag shape to increase its area. It's used to capture heat energy. Now, heat pumps use HFC, which is hydrofluorocarbons. This is actually very highly damaging the carbon, like the environment, so they are under question, and later we'll see that government wants to do a crackdown on them. These boils at very low temperature, sometimes as low as -20, say if you are in cold countries. When liquid boils, evaporate into gas, which capture heat. The refrigerant is warmer when it leaves the evaporator, when it enters. So it's cooler and warmer conversion. The compressor increases the pressure of the gas, which is very important. It further increase its temperature, which is we want the refrigerant not hot enough to be useful as a heat source. Then condenser is a further coil or zigzag of piping that allow the refrigerant gas to cool and release its heating energy. So there is a heating mechanism and there is a cooling mechanism, and this whole continuation is making a proper heating in the home. Central heating system, the condenser is used to heat water that can then be pumped to a hot water tank for washing or a radiator on underfloor heating pipes. Now let's talk about the expansion valve. Reduces the pressures, so they are the expansion valves. So anything closed, they will expand it. When they expand it, it will reduce the pressure. So decreasing pressure cools the gas, which releases until more heat. The refrigerant can then be returned to the evaporator, and it's a constant flow of the refrigerant through the heat pipe. Heat pumps also contain a variety of sensors. So just for security purposes, we have to see what are these sensors, what are the latest form. Walls and other components with the heat pumps can be controlled by electronic connected to these sensors. Now let's see the heat pumps in central heating system. So this component which is outside, you saw majority of you have seen in UAE and Saudi Arabia as well. This is what we have. Hot heat pumps are alternative to boilers as the heat sources or central heating system. A heat pump's evaporator can be located outside the building. So this is the one where it will be captured hot heat energy even during the cold weather. So the condenser and expansion valves are located inside. So they will release the pressure whenever it is required coming from outside. Some heat pumps can reverse the flow of the heat, which means that it can be used to heat a building during winter and cool it down in the summer. So they are dual purposes, they are expensive, and but they are more useful. So we have to see later it will link with consumers that what is the class of clients we have. Are they price sensitive, elastic, inelastic, and what they can afford, what they cannot afford, what mass it can afford. So this is also a very important information. Obviously technology looks nice, but if in the country people don't want to invest, then this product will not be so fast moving or a star product for us. I was sitting with, just by the way, with Procter & Gamble supply chain director. So he was saying that in Africa, it's very hard to sell the Pampers. So I asked him why. Like he said that first we need to tell them to wear Pampers, and because they don't have money, so they take Pamper on Eid holidays, Christmas, New Year, 3 days, 2 days. So it's just a luxury for them. So Pamper is a very good product, but we need to find a suitable market where we can make it a fast moving. Same for these devices. The latest devices, remote control, mobile app, or voice based are available. But is it a mass market? This is a strategic outlook to look into. Heat pumps do not need electricity to create heat energy, but they depend on a number of electrical components. These include the compressor, circulator pump, and a pump that helps the circulation of the air or water around the evaporator and condenser. In cold climates, it may be necessary to use electricity. So in that times, your electricity bills will increase. Heat pumps cost less to run than traditional boilers. So here is a decisive strategic decision that should we continue the boilers or should we focus, transform everything on the heat pump because they are less costly. But same time we have to see are they environment friendly or not and efficient in all other ways. So this is just a loud thinking I'm telling you, and this is what the case is about. Despite their electrical power, typically a heat pump can deliver 3 kV of heat energy for every K of electricity consumed. Unfortunately, heat pumps cost more to buy and install. So you can see that boiler is cheaper. So the 70% population in every country is poor or very, very low level. So they might not be interested in buying a new technology because they cannot afford it until government run some funded programs to convert. So you can see that the heat pumps are costly to buy and install. One very important tip in our exam is, this is relevant to tell you now, that we don't take any position. Even you feel that, yes, heat pump is looking very nice, or say the boilers are suitable to the community because they can't afford. We don't take positions at all. If you take position, you will lose the exam. Exam markers says that they want to see, say, to tell the management that this is the advantage of the heat pump or disadvantages. This is the advantages and disadvantages of the boiler. And based on that, you tell them that which probability is higher. But you don't take any such kind of word that I suggest and recommend to the board to go to the boiler. This will mess up all your exam. So always think strategic. We are managers reporting to the board. Board is in a position to say, yes, say this guy recommended, so we will choose this one. So that's always keep in your mind that we will not take a position of yes and no in any of the exam. He will try to tempt you, like, for example, he will say that Hottayr should buy its competitor. Is it a good move? So if you say yes, it's a good move, or you say no, it's not a good move, this is not the desired response from a strategic manager. Like sometimes, suppose if you are discussing something and you have your own opinion, but you don't want to impose on others, you say, look, I feel these are the advantages, these are the disadvantages, and it's up to the board how they decide. Your Excellency, you will decide. I'm the advisor of Sheikh Khalifa, so sometimes I say, designers, is yours decision. These are the facts I told you. These are the graphs. These are the tables. So I don't take any position practically, and even in the exam, we should not take any position. A lot of people get excited, they take position and they fail the exam. That's very important. Okay, so heat pumps capture heat energy from the environment, which is supplied by the sun. So there is no compensation and no carbon emission. So there is no pollution, you can say. Care must be taken in installation, maintenance, and replacement of the heat pumps to ensure that the refrigerant is not accidentally released. Refrigerants harm the environment by causing global warming, and if they are allowed to escape into atmosphere, it is however possible to drain. There are ways to handle the refrigerant from old heat pumps into a sealed tank for reuse or safe disposal. So we have to see that it is doable, it is costly, what is an extra cost. So we have to budget this cost, and these kind of considerations can come. Heat pumps can capture energy from outside, almost any weather, although they become less efficient and low temperature. As the heat will come, so they will slow down. Then you can add a supply, electricity supply or something. In practice, a heat pump can supply a central heating system with sufficient heat energy when outside temperatures are low as -15 degrees. This is really a problem in many countries, including Northern, because it's a cold country. So I'm assuming it's not that cold like Canada, -60, you're talking about -15. Air source heat pumps collect heat energy from air. So you can see this is another new device from air. It passes over the evaporator. This is the simplest type of heat pump for use in central heating systems, and it is the most popular. The evaporator is enclosed in a housing along with a fan that draw air into an apparatus. The condenser and other components are enclosed in another housing. So it's another system, and refrigerant flow between the interior and exterior. So basic mechanism is the same, but sophistication is there. Air source heat pumps has the drawbacks of being exposed to the variable air temperatures, which change with the weather and so affect their efficiency. As he told already, high temperature different, low temperature different. So it means that there is a need to install something with it. So there are, however, relatively easy to install. Interior working of heat pump is being installed in place of a gas boiler, can be fitted in place of a boiler that is to be removed. So in case if you want to remove the boiler, which is the case. Actually, boilers are trouble, and we'll see like later we need to change them. The exterior housing also remain accessible for any repairs in the event of a breakdown or any kind of leakages happens. One more installation you can see here. This is zigzag, and it's going in the home. So ground source heat pumps are an alternative. It's just like the internal heating under the floor. Those use the same principle as air source pumps, except the evaporator is placed underground and is submerged into a body of water. The evaporator then captures heat energy from the surrounding earth or liquid in the same way as an air source device. So this is, I already explained, is just like a simple, so I'll skip it. One disadvantage of all heat pumps, both air source and ground source, is that they produce hot water that is cooler than the water from a boiler. So this is a disadvantage. Keep it in mind when we are comparing boiler with the heat pumps in our exam. The difference is roughly 10 degrees from the air source heat pumps and little less for the ground source. In each case, that can mean that a central heating system based on a heat pump would struggle to raise the room temperature to a comfortable level. And this problem can be solved by using a large radiators than the traditional boiler systems. And as we discussed, we can install under flooring, called it. Either option will provide a large surface area for the transfer of heat, although the cost of doing so could discourage many homeowners. Yeah, this is true. Like cost impact of underfloor heating. Underfloor heating is extremely amazing idea, and but obviously it is costly, so may discourage homeowners from replacing their gas boilers with the heat pumps. Although it's easier to install them and in new homes, because when you're making a new home, you didn't put the floor, so down the floor you can do the structuring. It is the right time, and that time it is costing less. But if you already have a home, you want to break it, remove the carpets and central heating, flooring, so it's gonna cost you a lot. Alternative heating systems are, so you can see very easy, solar thermal panels. You put it on the roof, and imagine like you live in Norway, no sun is coming, and say in cold weathers, there's not enough light. So obviously technology is improving. We do have nice solar thermal panels who actually can work in without sun nowadays in cloudy weathers, but still it's a source of. And we have district heating is a communal heating system that is usually provided by city governments that have access to biomass fuel that can be turned to create heat. Biomass takes a variety of forms, including waste, forestry, wood. So you can take the wood, agriculture residues like meat stocks, and even household waste. Obviously, it will be a bit more polluted, I'm sure. And it involves, combustion, so they can cause carbon emission. There are, however, generally more efficient. They have separate heat sources. In the home, this technology tends to be popular in locations that can offer cheaper fuel, where these things are available. If there's no available forestry, then what we will do? And the easiest and the most easy way is the electric. You put the switch, device is ready, and start cooling down. You can have a heater, or you can have in the washroom or in the home, everywhere. Of course, electricity is expensive. All Europe, UK, they are in the crisis of energy prices. Cost of living is going higher, and electricity heaters will create a lot of burden on the suppliers of energy, and you need so it's not that everyone will be going on electric, but yeah, it is a way of handling these things. Now, these are some discussions about the different way which I told you: electricity, gas, LNG, and your pumps and your boilers. Global sales of domestic heating technology. Now he's building up the industry. He's not talking about a company, he's talking about the industry. So this few first pages are for industry. So he says boilers are slowly declining in popularity because of the environment concern. This environmentalists are crazily, overprotected, and they are thinking far ahead, and obviously then they see it so critically. Then the traditional things which our forefathers were using, they feel that it is not environment friendly, and they need to be replaced. So if you are, say, Hottayr is a boiler based company, so they make boiler. So this information, as you as a manager, and sending it to the board, telling them about 2025, 2030, 2040, strategic thinking down the road. This information will trigger strategic thinking in terms of operations, in terms of budgeting, in terms of finances. Consumers are, however, often reluctant to switch to the heat pumps because of the cost of doing. Heat pumps cost more than boilers, and they usually require a significant investment in a new radiators or underfloor heating. Now, very interesting thing in all the CIMA exams. This will show you that how easily we can, understand the examiner mind and handle the exam. In all the cases, you will see he gives the balance sheet, income statement, where you will notice that the companies are cash rich, so they have a lot of cash. Now, in such scenario, when he is talking about that it requires a lot of investment, so here I can say that this company will see if they have cash or not. If they have big cash, then investment not a problem. Secondly, that when the environmentalist government will start cracking down on boilers, obviously, even if I cannot afford, I have to come and change myself. So maybe local government will come, they will give some discounts or some support. In Europe and UK, in Northern, it will work this way that there is a local governments, they work around the housing facilities, and if they feel that people are poor, so they give them in installment, funding that you call. So demand for boiler is expected to decline more rapidly with the next few years because many governments has committed themselves to achieve a target of zero net carbon emission. Like UAE government, they have a zero net carbon emission target. Government will make increasing use of combinations, pumps in legislation to discourage the manufacturer. So if you are a manufacturer of a boiler, then immediately now our strategic thinking will start what to do, what's the market development, what's the new market, what will be our unique selling points, all the technical things we will discuss. It is anticipated that this will leave a small residual demand for boilers from consumers whose properties are unsuitable for the heat pumps. So it means there will be a niche market, a small market will still exist. Electric heaters and solar thermal will continue to be used along with other heating technologies. Main electricity will be generated from renewable sources, which means the electric heaters need not cause emission in operations. So this is also a good information that always there's a rich class. There's a class, we have to figure out how much is that class, which is depending on the solars and the electric heaters. Very interesting diagrams, charts, you can say. This will give us insight and which will be useful in our exam. For example, this is 2015-20, this is 2025 forecasted. These are actual ones up and these are the forecasted. So let's assume 2030, what will be the scenario? So in 2030, you will see that the solar panel, because I assume that the technology will advance, scientific revolution will come, they will find some solutions to store energy in the panel when it is sun is bright, but when there is a cloudy or no sun, then the same storage that has been stored will be reused in that period. Some kind of technology, of course, is there, and sky is the limit for human mind. So solar will grow and electric heaters will grow. Gas boiler, you saw, it has remained really small, and the heat pump market will also be grow. So if I say this is 50%, so the 50% is heat pumps and the district heat, and the 50% are almost solar and electric, and a little bit of gas. But if I compare it with 2015, let's assume 2020, because that's the most recent. So still, half of the market is the gas boiler. So in 10 years, gas and oil boiler company will go home. They have nothing. So if their management don't take strategic decisions, they will be like Nokia, which was the best-selling company, but no one knows Nokia now. Or they will be like radio manufacturers. There's no radio manufacturer. It's all plug-in as an app. And telecommunication also reshaped. Before there was a switch system, now it's a software engineering. So this is what is very, very important from a strategic management point of view. You have to think loud, think broad to handle this kind of examination. Now you can see here, it is also a lot of change. Heat pumps, half of the market. So these two graphs are really interesting to compare and understand how the industry will shape in 10 years. This is clear that the heat pumps will be the half of the market. We can invest in solar, we can start investing in electric heaters, and we can produce some kind of district heat system. If we can do all of them, then we will be again a company that will be top of the list. But if we will not see the changes and we'll keep selling what we are, so one day we will lose the game. So that's what he told already. And so let's talk about now the Norland residential central heating market. As you work in companies, you know that we have a customer segment. So we say this is a wholesaler, this is a retailer. Sometimes we say this is a individual, this is a industrial. So same way, this company on every country has certain classes of the customer. So Norland has a temperate climate with a significant variation in temperature from season to season. So they have cold, they have hot. But is it true that they don't have too much hot? Like too much hot is cold and hot. So you can see if I make an average here, so they fall somewhere 12 degrees Celsius. You can see that in January they are 5 and in December they are 7. This is the way. So July is the 20. So this is what is the average temperatures. Okay, so this graph can explain all the paragraph written, so it's fine. Let's move forward. Yeah, let's start from here. So Norland government is committed to reduce the carbon. Every government, because there is a global pressure. Trump was not interested in this. Biden is interested. So depending the world power, what comes, they start focusing, funding. If no funding, so now everyone is talking about carbon emission to zero. Heat pumps are promoted as offering a contribution towards meeting the target. Has been estimated that 20% of the Norland carbon emissions are attributable to domestic heating. So this is the breakup. Now 20% of pollution coming from the domestic heating. So if you want to control, you have to investigate that what are these domestic heating comprises on, and how to replace them, what will be the long-term strategy and funding arrangements. Norlandian homeowners collectively spend an average of 1.6 billion each year on purchase of central heating systems. Means that it's a good market. That includes installation of central heating in new homes and also the replacement of existing homes that are deemed unsafe, unreliable, or inefficient. So there's a housing plan and obviously there's a heating plan. Both will be working together with the environmental plans. But the statistics is, so this 1.6 billion information need to be reused in your exam in order to show the marker, exam marker, that the case is in your brain and you have clear your strategies with facts and figures. Replacement for existing systems. So the boiler we need to change. So he says that older designs are less efficient. So the first strategy will be changing the old with the new, and then the new with the heat pumps. So that's what is the written. New build homes. So obviously, if I want to control the regulation, I'm a government, I'll make a law. The new construction will not be allowed to use boilers. The boiler will go home, finish. And this is how the policymaker, expand their own businesses, whatever business they have. They make a policy and everyone start doing the same. But positively, if you look around, this is for the environment safety. So they will install heat pumps in the new home because they are attractive selling features for the potential owners. But additional costs also need to be taken in consideration because we have to see it. Now, this was the industry introduction. We are moving towards Hottayr. It's a company formed in 1952 and was listed in stock exchange in 1967. This information is useful, and because for a certain period it was an unquoted company, and then in 67 they become quoted. So we have to see when they become quoted, who was the main shareholders, what was the structure, did they install corporate governance. So here, the listed company, different mentality. The board structure, committees, who is the CEO, who is the CFO, what is the qualification of a CEO, CFO, is it relevant, not relevant? Do they have chief operating officers? They have chief risk officers, chief compliance officer. What are their profiles? Are they from the same industry? Do we have non-executive directors? What are their profiles? Are they 50-50 or not? These are the information suddenly clicks in my mind to pass my exam, because until I don't drill into my strategy will not be effective. I cannot make effective strategy without an appropriate human resource. So for a strategist like us, the availability of a profile or expertise is extremely important. And installing corporate governance is very, very important. Setting up the rules, regulation, internal policy is very important. So that's why exam is three-way: financial, industry, and risk and governance or audit. So Hottayr was one of the first companies to specialize in boilers. So they are market leaders. We can say they are market leaders, market originators. Very few home had central heating when Hottayr was first established, and so the company was one of the first to enter in the domestic gas boiler. So I will take it as a spirit. I will say that if this company was the pioneer, so when it comes to a new technology, they can also take the lead because they have expertise, leadership, capability to do that, and we will see if they have or not. Demand for central heating grew over time, so although it was not common for central heating to be installed in new homes. So if I go to my grandfather's home, it used to be separate heating system. When I go to my new home, I see the central heating systems. So it's a transformation based on technology, mindset, living habits, standard of living, affordability, and innovation. These all are factors behind that. And the company like Hottayr is, if they are adaptive, then they will survive and keep growing. Was one of the largest manufacturer of the gas boiler in the country, as expanding. So this is the history. Now they were the best, but if the government, as the graph shows, in 10 years will change boiler into tiny segment, then today we have to suggest both about how to move forward and do, because strategic thinking means looking ahead 10 years, 20 years, 50 years. Okay, these are their values. You can say Hottayr has always been heavily involved in the product development. So safety is reliability and efficiency. This is what is they are always known for. Hottayr gas boiler factory. So they have a factory, means it's a manufacturing unit. So they have work in progress, they have finished good, they have raw material, and they have 3,800 people in their staff, which is a good number of staff. So we have to see what is the breakup, where they are. Now we are talking about Hottayr, where obviously they should have a head office, there should be Northland, then there should be Farland somewhere. Are they into export, import? These. Now we need to build up a structure of a large size company. Manufacturing processes are automated, which is good, means they believe in automation. A large proportion of the factory staff are engaged in quality control, so means they have focus on quality control, and they are focusing on preventing gas leaks in consumer home, which is a very corporate social responsibility type of organizations. Hottayr commenced productions for domestic heating in 1997. This was regarded as a risky venture at that time, when demand was very limited. Okay, now we have a graph in 2030, which is showing that the pumps will go this way, electric will go this way, solar will go this. So there is a predicted study available. But maybe that time when they were doing, it was challenge-seeking, it was revolutionary, and so these are some, strategic capability of the company. However, growing concern about emissions. Some early adopter consumer has replaced their gas boilers with the heat pumps, despite the significant cost of doing so. Always there are people, consumer, industrial and retail. They are early adopter of the technology, and initially when the technology comes, it's costly, but obviously it has benefits as well. Hottayr's main market for pump has been house builders who often installed heat pumps in new homes under constructions. So this is their consumer approach, where they target the developers, home developers. Consumer regard this as an attractive feature when buying new homes, and when you're buying new home, especially your wives, they are very excited. It should be like this and that, new things, big TV screens and, automation. So that's easy to sell. The purpose is to build this scenario is all of the Hottayr pumps are air source. There is insufficient demand for ground source heat pumps to justify the investment that would be required for their development and manufacture. So you saw the diagram, there was a heat zigzag on the floor, or there are air source one. Hottayr's hot pumps are subject to the same attention as gas boilers, so they have consumer feedbacks. Very important very important strategic focus of a company is to know their customers' need, demand, and they get feedbacks. They give product features which are good and unique. So their features are good. They can be cooled during the summer and heated in the winter. He says Hottayr's heat pumps can connect to the consumer's home Wi-Fi and app to their smartphones to track the heat energy. These are called smart meters. Everyone knows about them. You can keep it in your bedroom and see like digital meters are showing. So, and you can see in your app as well. So again, like it is connected to a cyber risk, data theft or invasion, intruders, IT, cyber crimes. These are all will hit with this feature. Heat pumps is located in Norland, Maxtown. They have 2,400 staff. So this is the location, Maxtown. Also maintain a head office that has 2,600 staff. So you have this head office, you have Maxtown, and then you have in Norland another manufacturing. And the head office is located in the business district of the central city. This information is important based on the geographic pattern of the consumer base. Now, the IT department is nominally under the control of Chief Financial Officer, which is a big issue for me. Because why to give Chief Financial Officer reporting Chief IT Officer, make it independent. There should be an IT committee, in the new environment is better for corporate governance. Previously we hired one CFO, they are in charge for accounts payable, receivable, treasury, everything, they do everything. So now we need to be more sophisticated, make more committees, more departments. So here is our corporate governance knowledge. Obviously, we have to need some technical information, which I will do it in our next classes. There you will start even more technically that according to SOX, according to the corporate governance, this is now benchmark. So Hottayr should also follow the same. There's a data center with the head office supported by a remote backup site. IT provide programming support for the whole of the Hottayrs. I can easily evaluate its programmers, that management, and I can also compare outsourcing versus insourcing as a strategy. These are very important factors. Hottayr has three main categories of the customer. I explained to you before that every company has different kind of segments and type of customers. So they have energy providers, they deal with them, and large housing companies and builders, merchants who provide a wholesale service to smaller businesses such as plumbers, heating engineers, and small house builders. So they are, you can call small wholesaler, industrial, and developers. These are the markets. Homeowners rarely express an interest in the brand of boiler or heat pump in their central heating systems. Because you have to see, like, if I already have a home, I'm old, I have no much money, so I am not interested much. But new homes are very much interested, because new home, when we sell, the architect sitting telling you, you can open the door with your voice. I'll put a camera, can see anything coming outside. Yeah, you're excited. So you're excited with these systems as well. Okay, so owners who are replacing existing will usually rely on their installers. So that's why it's very important to create a good connection with the plumbers, network of plumbers. They will create some sales for you. Companies generally give them commissions also if they recommend you. Installer often recommends boiler because they have an excellent reputation for quality and efficiency. Hottayr heat pumps are also regarding as offering excellent quality and efficiency. So they are quieter in operation. Very important for these things that they should not create a noise, because when it is extremely cold, no sound outside. So these machines, if they create sound, it will be a disturbance. People will be annoyed. So electric pump used to drive the flow must be running whenever the heating is shown. Hottayr exports its boiler to several countries. Very important information for our strategy. Now, for example, if I am an exporter, so I need to see what is my country's economic condition. Nowadays in Egypt, they have a currency crisis. In Pakistan, there's a currency crisis. IMF problems are going, and different countries have different issues. So we can't ignore these points. You heard about hedging. Hedging is offsetting your risk against adverse price changes of currency or interest rate. So hedge point is very, very important. When I tell you the export, then it's a strategy. How to avoid currency losses. Currency losses has different names, different types, which bookish we will study in the next few lectures. Export sales are limited by the facts that many countries have warmer climate, so there is little or no demand for central heating. So you have to see how much is the export market, how much is the local market. Based on that, we will take some strategic decisions. Hottayr has two main rivals. So one is Therm and one is Fluency. One is in Nordland and one is in Eastland. So we will look into the competitors also. They both are more heavily focused on boilers than Hottayrs, although each sells its own range of air source heat pumps. So competitor analysis as a model competitor analysis, we need to see strength, weaknesses, opportunities, and threat. We need to see that pestle analysis. These frameworks we theoretically will study in our bookish things, and then we will apply them in our practical exam, real exam. So examiner will think few things about you. One, that you have read the case and memorized the important factors very much. You are linked with a bookish knowledge. You are using the best class frameworks. So you are a very learned academic person. And then you grab the new information given in the exam and you combine them and analyze in a way I will teach you. And then you will see the result will be very, very nice for you. So extract from Hottayr's annual reports. Let's discuss about mission, vision, and core values. This is the way we start the organization. Etihad Airline, best airline in the world, the most luxurious airline. We will be providing this. Customer safety will be our first value, like this way. So Hottayr's mission is to establish itself as a trustworthy supplier of excellent heating products. So they are not saying heating through electricity or solar. So it means they have a very good mission, because if they say excellent boiler and heating, pumps, so it will be a very narrow mission, right? Vision is to lead towards a zero carbon. So here they are open to adopt any technology which will create a zero carbon for the whole community. Their core values, they will keep their promises, understand the need of their customer, and constantly surviving to enhance its products, making them safe, efficient, and economical to operate. Trust people and respect one another. Very important point, human resource related and customer related. It's a safe and healthy place to work. Amazing. These core values are very amazing, and we will appreciate them when we write in the exam. I will make a script for you to because this we will reproduce. Something I told you we have to reproduce. Examiner will be very happy. Let's talk about critically the board of directors. Very interesting part of our discussion. If we have wrong people in our organization, we can be like Samsung. Samsung got some wrong staff, and they have a Note, I forget, it was Note 10 or Note 7 or Note 6 controversy. 2 years, their market share really went down. And there are more examples, like in Apple now, there's no Steve Jobs, so Apple market share is really lost. And so human resource is really important. Maybe you are one of those resources which company can rely on, and maybe any other person comes. Obviously, there are a lot of CFOs, but everyone has its own dynamic background. So what we see in a board of directors, what we want to see in a board of directors, that if it is Hottayr, it is a company who will be carbon free. I'm talking about the vision, and they will be the producing solutions for heatings. So means that people from heating industry background should join this company. They should have a relevant knowledge, expertise, technology, innovative mind. Then this company will really grow. So this is what we are going to analyze. Now you need to take a difference. You will see here, CEO, you heard a lot of time, COO, CFO, this is we know, marketing directors, research director. Here is the good thing. Independent director means non-executive director, means they should not be your shareholders, they should not be your employees, right? They should be industry exposure, independent people in your board when they like for example, Obama, ex-president of United States, expertise in legislation. So he can be a legislative lawyer by background, can be a good committee member for a company who want legislation in their company. Donald Trump, businessman, can be a member of a non-executive member for, say, a company who is in production, hospitality, construction, because this is what is his experience. So high-profile people bring in your board. They have no interest in terms of money and shareholding, so their decision will be neutral. So this is we need to work around. Senior independent directors, non-executive director, right? And we have non-executive director. So we start, no, this is, I just explained you, now I'll read it for you. It's very interesting for all of us. Non-executive chair. So when we say executive chair, so it becomes, executive officer. So it's a non-executive chair. Martin was a leading commercial lawyer. He spent most of his career with a major law firm, rising to the rank of partner. He was partner in charge of the firm for 5 years before he retired. In addition to his role with Hottayr, Martin chairs the board of Norland Opera. Martin joined Hottayr board in 2019. So this is a non-executive chair, is a lawyer. So we'll see that what is the relevance of a lawyer in our board once we finish the case. CEO is an engineer, so it's good to have an engineer. This is an engineering company. She has a doctorate in mechanical engineering from Norland Capital City University. She was a design engineer. She played a significant role in designing heat pumps. Top of it, it looks that a designer, engineer, producing products, understand the market needs, sound like a good CEO. She spent several years head of research before being promoted to chief operating officer, and she was further promoted to CEO in 2020. Maybe company will be doing women empowerment, so they make her from chief operating to CEO. That was a joke. So this is the CEO. Let's talk about chief. So apparently, top of it, I assume there's no issue. Even it is encouraging. We can say that the CEO have background, experience, everything makes it suitable for being a CEO. Chief Operating Officer joined Hottayr as a management trainee. Straight after graduation, he has held a number of management roles. He had risen to general manager. So this also looks good. He was a student, young fresher graduate, living so many years in the same company, trained, understand the operations fine. I didn't tell what is his qualification, but still, because he has been trained internally by the company, so it's fine. CFO is Eleni. So, okay, very important. When we will make our notes, you have to memorize their name. first or second name, whatever is easy, like Alini or Barus, whatever you can like. You can use any CEO, CFO, in the line I have to write, because in the exam, I will reproduce my point when I will criticize or analyze the board structure. I will say, as Alini CFO, relevant background, Emmanuel marketing director, this way. So in 2-3 lines, I'll reproduce some, which will make mocker very happy that I have all the information of the case study in my brain. Alan is a qualified accountant, so this is a good thing because nowadays, after Sarbanes-Oxley Act 2002, they say that the CFO must be a member of any regulatory body. She passed her professional exam while working as a trainee accountant with Norland Steel. She has since held several senior roles in a variety of manufacturing companies. She joined board as a CFO, so it looks good. She's a qualified, have industry exposure. Emmanuel, marketing directors, studied marketing in Norland University. Since then, he has worked for a number of major manufacturing companies. He took a career break, 2011, to complete MBA, passing with distinction, so he looks bright. Emmanuel worked as a senior marketing manager with Hottayr for 6 years, at which time he was promoting to the board. So he also looks relevant and energetic. Professor Amina, research director, mechanical engineering, sound good. Graduate with honors, very good. Was offered a place on the university PhD program. Yeah, this reminds, there are rich people like Bill Gates. He says, I'm a university dropper. But if you see all the staff of Microsoft, they are either from Harvard, MIT. So his hiring capability or quality policy is to hiring the best student, even if the university dropout. So it's always important that you hire the best brains. They will work for you and you will become better. Our doctoral thesis was of the optimization of the heat output from the heat pump in cold climates. She remained at the university, being promoted to the professor. She was appointed 2018. She remains as a visiting professor. So it's good. She's a visiting professor and she is a research director, which is very good. She's linked with academic and she's linked with a professional. So perfect combination. Akira is a senior independent director. So when we say independent, means they are not having shareholding and they are not the employee or they are nothing. Spent her career in corporate finance, working in senior roles with major investment banks. He developed an interest in funding wind farms and other enterprises that aims to reduce energy emissions. He retired in 2019 and was appointed Senior Independent Director. So he is also a non-executive director at Central City Children's Hospital. Makes finance investment background. So when it comes to balance sheet, income statement, there are so many financial decisions that Akira can be very, very useful. Patrika, independent non-executive director, had a career in politics, was the member of parliament, industrial town, 17 years. She served as a junior minister for business. She retired from politics in 2022, was appointed as an NED. She's also an NED for a television documentary maker. Now, what is the relevance of this? That because this company, Hottayr, is going to be facing an issue with the government policies because government is targeting zero. So if they have someone from government side who understand the ministerial processing and working, can be very helpful. That's how I believe. We'll see. G, independent non-executive director, has held a number of posts in the government. He has served in a variety of senior roles. assisting in drafting legislation on a diverse range of areas, including transport and pensions. He was appointed to Hottayr board when he retired from full-time employment in 2021. So he's also a non-executive director. So we have to count like how many executive, how many non-executive. This is the way corporate governance will work. And this is what we'll do when we'll do the detail analysis. Now this is the breakup. So this is the structure. You can see the CEO is doing everything. And there's a chief operating officer who is looking to manufacturing and human resource. Then we can see there is a CFO who's talking about financial reporting, makes sense. Treasury makes sense. Management accounting makes sense. This information technology, I suggest to have a separate guy. And there are reasons we will see that. Manually, it's talking about promoting customer relation, looks good. Amina is looking product development and certifications, right? This is the basic structure. We can advise more better structure in exam as well. Now, this is important because they are listed companies. So obviously, as a listed company in the Nordland, we assume that they have corporate governance and they have to have an audit committee. They have a risk committee, remuneration committee, and nomination committee. So nomination committee, we can say that Martin, Akira, and Ye. So all these committees we can criticize, comment, but the most important to learn is the audit committee, because audit committee has certain rules and regulations, which I am going to teach you in the next lecture. But just to discuss this, that audit committee should have all independent, and one of them should be a financial expert, right? So this we will see that are they all independent, they have financial expertise or not. So this is the most important committee where we need to write 2-3 lines in exam for sure, which will draft during our preparation. Everything will be ready. Also, I give you a quick say that we have to see that 50% are executive and 50% are non-executive. If there is an imbalance, we will call it not comprehensive board, and which require, you can say, a corporate structuring. Very easy. Let's move forward. We have to see the risk impact and what they are doing to mitigate. So they have expensive products. They are trying to diversify for selling into different markets. Company is vulnerable to credit risk. So they are trying to have diversification of the market, setting up credit limits. This is also a good policy. We have to see the credit policy, sale policy from a strategic point of view. Cash flow can be volatile because of the fluctuation. So they are talking about currency exposures, which I just told you, hedging is a risk mitigation. Company employees make a vital contribution to success, right? So they conduct monthly meeting with the employees, representatives provide excellent trainings. They try to retain it, of course. Company product require a steady supply of materials, particularly steel, copper, and aluminum. We also make heavy use of semiconductors and other electronic components. They create vulnerability both in terms of availability and price. Semiconductors are always a big problem, of course. Hottayr pays close attention to the market. So they have a good supplier management system. We can talk much about supply chain management here. We can advise them to implement a system of MRP, the latest ERP systems. The company is vulnerable to change legislation related to emissions. So obviously they have good number of executive, non-executive, experienced. So they will do these changes for sure. Consumer demand for central heating is affected by environmental concerns. So Obviously, they try to be efficient, minimize the emission of carbon, and they aim to educate consumer about environmental benefits of replacing an old equipment with the new one. So this is also looks good. But these are few risks. I told you they are using app, and it should be here. The cyber risk should be here. So there are a lot of risk, which is not, if I consider this is the risk register. So according to me and you, as a strategic people, we feel that Hottayr has to focus on certain kind of risk, which they are not doing. And in supportive to that, that's why we want IT, chief IT officer separate to support us in our latest innovations. Now we are coming to the easiest part according to your finance background. So always these are IFRS-based consolidated accounts, profit and loss 2021. So always 2-year comparison. Now you don't need to memorize 699 was in 2020, it becomes 756 in 2021. No. I'll prepare a table for you. It will be given to you in a way. I'll add another column. The examiner marker likes in percentage. That's the latest style. For example, revenue of Hottayr is increased 6%, cost has decreased 2%, GP has increased almost 1%, finance cost has increased 3%, profit is slightly jumped up. These way, the examiner is very happy. Marker is going to be very happy. But in any case, I'm writing 699, that's not going to make sense for him. So it's very easy, like we will prepare ourselves for financial analysis. And as I told you, I'm going to give you some ready-made things to reproduce, which examiner like. And of course, you can analyze, as an experienced person, I can see what's going on. And the very important thing, as I told you, so this is their changes in equity, which is a shareholder portion. Very important. We have to always discuss it and what value the shareholders are getting out of it. So out of the value, what we can see is the opening balance of share capital was 250. We have a profit for the year, 97. This was the opening. And so you can see that the profit was 97, right? And the half of it almost, they have given as a dividend. So this is the very, very question marks for the strategic point of view, because if a company is giving almost half of what they are earning to the shareholder to please them, so it means that this year they are not reinvesting in research, investment, and growth. So that is the important point we have to write in the strategic financial portion, which will make examiner or marker very happy for you. So this is a very important dimension. This is, we will see for Hottayr, and we will see for the competitor also. Moving forward, there is the assets. So you can see that there is increase in asset. The goodwill is the same. How the goodwill has arrived, that obviously goodwill is an intangible asset. When we buy an asset and we pay excessive amount, so the excessive amount become a goodwill. So we have to see this goodwill is impairing or not. It is how much life, there's so much information given in the case, but we will build up some points. Development cost, also we can see that they are doing some research and development and capitalizing it, which will be amortized over the period of time. Trade receivable slightly changed, bank has slightly changed. So you can see that they have a quite significant cash in the bank, 38. And share capital same, retained earning has increased, so they are in profit that we saw. Owing is the same, so they are not going for any liabilities. This is a point where we can build up, future expansion, research. Either we'll take money from the bank or we will do further investments from other way around. Now, this is the revenue analysis, and you can, which I was talking before, that we need to know what is their import and export. So here we can see there local sale is 61 and export is also 39. So me as a strategic manager will request to the board that we can enhance the export markets, because export markets are really important. And we can't rely only on local markets. So these two segments are really important. And this is the product-wise heat pumps, boilers. Heat pumps in 2020 was this. So as you can see, boiler sale slightly went down and the heat pump sale is slightly up. And of course, you know that the forecast for 2030 is always there. So we will see the forecast. Now let's talk about the term that is the financial competitor. So you can see 7. Yeah, the good thing is that you have to see, like, are they equal size competitor or they are big and small competitors. You can see the revenue is 801 million. So if I go back just to remind you that the Hottayr is 756. So it means that this competitor sale is slightly bigger than, so it's a good competitor to consider. They are equal size or is a little bit bigger than, but they are also in profit and growing. And they also put a large dividend into the shareholders, which is an observation which we need to discuss, which has special points for us. So this is the marking area. We can see that they also have a goodwill in terms of balance sheet. The Hottayr is much stronger. Share capital, no movement, retained earning has increased. Borings, they have less borings. Hottayr has 200 million borings. So size of boring is less there. And look at the cash, the bank, 30 to almost the same. So they have 32 million cash, which is a good cash. Now, here we come to the share price. Important. Every time we have to write in exam a paragraph or lines related to the share prices. So you can see this is the highest share price, which was somewhere 65, I can see. And if I can make average, so it will be around 40, 39, you know. So we have to explain what are the reasons, what they did, the share price shoot up, and what happened, the share price went down. Share movement is very important. And always in the end, he will give you a beta. What is beta? Beta is a measure of volatility. So 1, if a beta is 1, means market and your share are equally strong. But if sometimes market is volatile, you are stable. Sometimes you are volatile, means changing, but the market is stable. So 1.12 beta means that you are not equal. The market is more volatile. And then we have to calculate, not calculate actually in exam, I told you no calculation. We will calculate. I want to impress the examiner with ungeared beta. Beta is this, and there is ungeared beta. I will explain when the time comes. So we'll comment 4 or 5 lines summarized, up and down, average, beta, ungeared data. This will give additional marks to us, explaining the financial. So dividend, share, cash position, revenue percentages, GP growth, these things we will put in the paragraph, and it will be sound music to the examiner or marks. So here the case is finished. Now we always give you some extra information, which is for alarming you that what can happen, and which we already know, because when they make a forecast 2030, they keep all these scenarios in their mind. So when you already are clear that what will be the scope of the electrical and solar, or what will be the scope of the pumps and boilers. So this is what already we know. So it is an extra information for us in the question form. He said, I'm worried about the environment and has been asking my parents to replace our gas boiler with solar panel. Generally, teenagers, when they start studying the books, they come to the parents and they say, look, we have this, we have that. So this is the same scenario. They said some solar will not heat our home properly. Is that true? So what is the answer? We already know that, yeah, it's depend on the weather. It's not always good weather. So when the weather is not good, and it will be, and in Middle East, say we have dust. So even there's a big sun, but there is a dust. So you need to put special evaporators on the panels, who run 2 times, 3 times, clean it, so extra cost comes. So it's good that they are taking climate change seriously, but it's true that solar panel cannot completely replace gas boiler. They rely heavily on plenty of district sunlight. There's no sunlight at night and sometimes very little during the day, especially in the countries like Norland. In countries, solar panels only work as a supplement. So they cannot be a main source forever, but they can be a source for domestic heating at least. It will save environment. You consider asking your parents to install a heat pump. That would cost more than solar panels, but a heat pump can gather heat from outdoor on the coolest and the darkest of the day and would complete replaced by your gas boiler. So this is an extra information. Another concern is a question. My parents had a heat pump installed in our home. So far, it has worked really well. The house is almost as warm inside as it was when we used as a gas boiler, and there is always plenty of hot water for showers and washing up. The weather has been very cold recently, and I'm worried that there would not be any heat outside for the heat pump to capture this. We already know that what to do. So we have to use some kind of electric device. So you should be okay, even though the coldest days, heat energy makes particles of gas, liquid, and solid material vibrate. The hotter they are, more they vibrate. The vibration slows as things get colder, but it's only stopped completely when they reach absolutely zero, equal to minus 273 degrees Celsius. In theory, there's a heat energy that can be captured all the way down to absolute zero. In practice, heat pumps run into mechanical difficulty. But it's not too cold in Norlands, as we saw. So your new heat pump will reduce your family carbon footprints. In any case, it is helpful, so we can use them. There's another question. My parents bought a new freezer recently, and shop asked if they want to pay extra to the refrigerant from their old one removed and recycled. They agreed even though the recycling was expensive, because the people in the shop that sold the freezer said that letting the refrigerant escape is extremely harmful to the environment in terms of global warming. My question is, why don't we use something else that could be less damaging to the environment? So it's a bit a scientific one, like every chemical has its own advantages and disadvantages. So if we use HFC, they are released when old freezers are scrapped carefully. So government should have some facilities for dumping. They do a great deal of harm when they are released into atmosphere. There are alternatives which are less harmful, but they have their own parameters as well. For example, propane is ineffective, but it is highly flammable, so it can get a domestic fire. Ammonia is also good, but it can be poisonous in sometimes. This is the last one. So he says that which is very important from a strategy point of view, which will change altogether everything. So Norlandian government commit to net zero by 2040. So in 2040, there will be no production of any kind of boiler who can create pollution. So Norland government has announced an ambitious plan to reduce net zero, such as carbon oxide and HFC that are used as refrigerants has been blamed for the global warming. The release of these gases are affecting the earth. So the commit require a massive reduction in emission levels. Remaining emission will then be offset by initiatives such as planting trees. So there will be a green impact which capture carbon from the atmosphere. The legislation will have a huge impact. For example, the government will ban the sale of new petrol and diesel powered cars by 2035. So this industry connection with this industry has one step towards meeting the net. And we already saw a forecast in 2030, which is being drafted by the industry. So this is all about our case. We try to read it in a way that how examiner would like to study us and what will be our roadmap, how we'll prepare our answer, what will be the key points in 3 sections: financial, risk, and the ecosystem or the environmental. That after reading the case, you have some retaining of information. For example, what was the revenue of Hottayr? How many people work in Midland, for example? So these are very small. It's just that you read the case one more time carefully and then you try to answer them. And when we'll meet next time, I will bombard you with a lot of information, and in 2 classes we'll finish everything. So case study and the theoretical discussions by the next week will be finished. So we will move towards the practice, means question, what to answer and how to answer, and possible questions like should we buy this company, should we sell this, what Hottayr should do, what should be the corporate structure, what will be the board structure, is this a balanced board, do they have a cyber risk, what to do with a lot of cash they have, should they expand their manufacturing in other countries, how to swap, hedge, control. So very logical, everything is in strategy in mind, nothing to it. And looking forward to seeing you.